we're in this. It's like, I'm sorry, can white women do no wrong? It's ridiculous. I mean, you want equality? Hey, I'm a believer in most feminist causes. You know, I have two daughters. Not that that's the only reason I would, but it's like, no, if you want things to be equal, then she needs to take some shit when she goes on a 10-minute rant about the topic, almost ignoring the game in front of her. We would hammer Mark Jackson for that just the same.
Oh yeah.
So it's the opposite of being misogynistic. We're treating her just like you would treat a male announcer. Like, get on topic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to What Are They Gonna Say Now? This is Tony and Jay, and we're just back to bring up some different topics, and I don't know, we're gonna be a little bit all over the place today with sports, but I think it'll be good. Got some different stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so, you know, this is the what's the phrase? It's one of the rare crossover times where you have all four major sports going at the same time, because you got baseball playoffs, you got the NFL, you got hockey, you got the NBA, and they're all intersecting. And there's been only a number of years where this has happened. I was hearing someone talking about this. Yeah, there's actually been years where this hasn't happened at all. Because of the MLB playoffs are longer now because of how they added to it or whatever. But yeah, it's the
and the NBA starting earlier now too.
Yeah, so. And we even had a golf event too on top of that. So there's just a lot going on at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just go right into it. The big NFL news was Christian McCaffrey getting traded to the 49ers.
Yeah.
The Niners gave up a second, third, and fourth round draft pick for next year, and then a fifth round draft pick for the following year, which I don't think that's a bad. I mean, I think that's a decent haul, but it's not like they give any first round picks because they don't have any to get him. I mean, he's only 26 years old. He has injury history, of course, the last 2 years. He actually played his first 3 years fully every game, not injured, but the last 2 years have been tough. And the Niners are the most injured team in the league over the last 10 years. Like, not even it's not even close. I read a breakdown of this. They get injured like nobody else. So bringing a guy with recent injury history in is questionable, but he's so talented. I can't be upset with the move. I was excited, you know. And then I mean the trade came on Thursday, and then you know he's on a plane to San Francisco, and he did play yesterday. I'm sure in a kind of a limited capacity, like give him a playbook, but Shanahan's playbooks are not that simple. You know, and it's also about it's one thing to plug in a receiver. It's a different thing to be a running back because you have blocking schemes. It's a big deal. You need to pick up blitzes or certain blocking protections, and that's a big deal. So I think he was in for. He got a good number of snaps in, and he looked really good. But, I mean, the Niners' defense is still banged up and injured, so Kansas City just went to town on them. I actually think – I think there's a good chance that's a Super Bowl preview, and there'll be very different teams at that point. Bosa was still back. He came back, but he's not 100%. Niners are still missing Eric Armstead. Mosley's out for the year. So that defense just got Kansas City. Andy Reid is a really good coach. And he went after them. And, you know, I really like Kyle Shanahan. I think he has great schematics. You know, he draws up some amazing plays. But, okay, so currently the 49ers have on offense. I know Trey Lance is hurt, but Jimmy G's a serviceable quarterback. Christian McCaffrey now, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel. This team there's no reason this team does not score 30 plus points per game with that kind of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Shanahan has sort of been under delivering with what he has at his, I mean, he has these great players to work with, and I feel like he's not really getting it quite done. Maybe he gets too cute. I don't really know.
I don't think
it's a little frustrating.
I don't think he trusts Jimmy.
But maybe he should trust him a little more because, I mean, you're just kind of.
I mean, I don't know. You think? I mean, as
he
far
did
as
have
the game,
that. He had that interception in the end zone. That was like, what are you doing, dude?
And if that was the only time he had done that, that would be one thing. But that's like a Jimmy G trademark, man. Like, you know what I mean?
It is,
and it killed all momentum.
Yeah,
killed all momentum. Like if we would have just scored a field goal there. It would have been fine. Right. We had a lead, and that changed all the momentum. And like from there out, it was a different game. And the Chiefs just smelled blood and ran with it,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Niners would have won if we would have just gotten a field goal after that, because obviously you got to keep up with Kansas City scoring.
But it should have been a better second half.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I woke up early. I went golfing. I fell asleep on my couch during the second half. I fell asleep.
Never
and I'm
a good sign.
I'm a psycho football fan. Like I'll scare my children. And I fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah. Not good. No, it was ugly. It was ugly. No, but I think McCaffrey's definitely a talent and a great pickup, I think, for them. But I don't think it matters if we can't, if Jimmy doesn't play better, or I guess Trey Lance whenever he comes back, whatever it is. I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. But I'm just saying,
Lance he's done for the year.
He's done. Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah.
When your ankle goes the wrong way, it's usually done for the year.
Right. Yeah, I just think they're gonna need more. They're gonna need Jimmy to play better, and for that to happen, for all the scoring you're talking about, because we can run all we want, but
yeah. Well, here's the thing: Jimmy can make some really good throws. We saw it last week. He made 2 great throws deep that were dropped.
Right.
And the other one was called back on a bullshit holding call. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe Shanahan needs to unleash Jimmy a little more, because he's still going to make a dumb throw anyway here and there. So why not let him air it out a little more? Because he's shown he can make those throws. Yeah. I don't know what to make of it. Shanahan definitely has his own issues, and this goes back to being the OC in Atlanta. He gets in his head, he gets too cute. Sometimes it's just kind of like, you got some baller players here, just give him the ball and don't overthink it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I wish he would do a little bit more of like the mid passes. You know what I mean? Like instead of either trying to go
like those crossing routes that Jimmy's actually really good at throwing. He leads the receiver very well. The crossing route to Ayuk,
Debo, you got guys who could take those, and
they have such talented guys. They have 4 of the best. They call them the Yak Bros, the yards after catch. And that was before McCaffrey came. Those are literally
another one
4
there.
Of the best.
Yeah.
Those are 4 of the best Yak guys in the entire league.
Right.
On your offense, there's no excuse. They should score 30 points a game minimum.
Right.
And Niners fans, of which I am one, are such toxic. They're assholes. Like, if you're not Joe Montana or Steve Young, you're a piece of shit, apparently.
Right.
But having said that, there's too much talent. Like, let's go. Like, no, Kyle Shanahan should not be fired. I'd like him to be our coach for 15 years. I think he's a good coach. Calm down. Having said that, I'm a little disappointed. Like, he has all this to work with.
Yeah.
Needs to be better. It's not just Jimmy.
Right. No, it's not. And if they don't get it done this year, they don't make the playoffs, whatever it is, like, it's definitely a failure on everybody's plate. Yeah. But it does fall on Shanahan for being the head coach, right? And not making whatever adjustments he needs to make. So, I don't know. I think I could see, like you said, it being very different by the end of the season and us making a run. similar to last year, right? It seemed like all hope was lost, and then all of a sudden,
then you put it all together, and guys get healthy, and all of a sudden, right?
Yeah,
and I think that's still in the cards. That's why they got McCaffrey, because the NFC is weak,
right?
I'm still skeptical of those New York teams.
Yeah, they keep winning somehow, but
I know, but I'm not a big believer in it.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them definitely going on a losing streak.
The NFC is very gettable. It's very gettable.
Yeah. I'll definitely be watching. I'm interested to see what happens. I just, you just get disappointed by the potential and lack of,
yeah, there's so much potential that they're not living up to.
Right, exactly.
Like they have crazy playmakers. Let's get So anyway.
So
yeah. Well, and it's funny. Someone was talking about the haul the Niners gave away for Christian McCaffrey. I had to remind him. I'm like, did you just see what the Broncos gave away to get Russell Wilson?
Right. How's that working out?
And then to overpay Russell Wilson and give him an extension, and then oof,
brutal.
Oof. Yeah. Hey, by the way, now that we have a podcast, I should say, you're supposed to drink Liquid Death, sparkling water. Yeah. It's required if you're on the podcast. So here we go. Hit us up, Liquid Death.
I didn't know. Yeah. I gotta get a can of that.
Just if you ever notice a bunch of podcasts, you're like, they were for some reason it's Liquid Death. I don't know. I guess it's also really good. It's like good sparkling water, and it's funny. The name is funny, right? It looks like a
Liquid Death. I'm like, should I be drinking
it looks
that?
it looks like a hardcore energy drink, but it's just nice sparkling water.
That's awesome.
Anyway, all right. Okay, let's move on from the NFL. Since we're Warriors homers, let's talk a little NBA and let's talk a little Warriors. 2 games since we last spoke. On the pod anyway. They played Denver. Denver shot lights out, looked fantastic. Jokic played really well. It was a really good back and forth game. I believe Denver was up by 21 points at one point. And the Warriors just scratched and clawed their way back. Steph got hot, started hitting threes. And we got down to a point where Clay attempted a game-tying three-pointer at the end. It was very close. So I was actually really encouraged by that because the Warriors didn't quite have it, and Denver was playing lights out, but they still made the game. And that reminded me a lot of what they were like in 2014, 15, 16, where it was like they're never out of it. Right. Yeah, like Steph turns it on, hits a couple threes, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, we have a game, Yeah. You were out on an anniversary dinner or whatever, but I'm texting you.
Yeah.
As we always do.
Man. Wish I was watching this game.
I was like, does your wife hate me? She's like, Jay's texting you nonstop during our anniversary dinner.
She understands the Warriors. She's just like, okay.
She's like, oh, your phone's vibrating on the table here again.
No, it seemed, just from getting updates from you and from looking at scores, it just seemed like it wasn't their night, which happens in the NBA, right? But the fact that they made it a game at the end was great.
Yeah. I was really happy about that. And, and Denver,
as things close,
And we both predicted Denver was going to be really good this year. Rory wasn't even playing yet, by the way.
Right. I think we both had them at number 2, right? Possibly right behind the Warriors.
And Bruce Brown was really noticeable in that game coming over from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He made a lot of good plays. I was like, I didn't even realize they had Bruce Brown. And he's just one of those guys who really adds, can raise your level. So, that was good. And it was interesting. So I watched the local CSN Bay Area feed originally with, Bob Fitzgerald.
Yep. Kalena.
And then I go on Twitter, and I look on Twitter, and Doris Burke is trending, like high up. And so Doris Burke was announcing the TNT or national feed or whatever that most people were watching for this game. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, she won't shut the fuck up. I guess. And so I didn't, again, because I wasn't watching that feed, but then afterwards I went back and pulled it up because I have YouTube TV as well, so I can actually pull up the other feed.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, what is everyone so upset about? Right. And she started talking about the Draymond Green Jordan Poole incident and the punch.
Mm.
And I thought everyone was being like dramatic or whatever, because I actually really like Doris Burke. She's one of my favorite national NBA announcers. I think she's great. Having said that, I watched this and was like, she goes, I can't get the punch out of my head. And it's like,
really?
It's like, I'm pretty sure he punched Jordan Poole, not you.
PTSD.
And she goes on for like 10 minutes talking about it. And there's a great game going on. The Nuggets are hitting every shot. The Warriors are going back and forth. Like, it was a really exciting back and forth game. And she's just going on it and going on it and going on it. And then I look at Twitter, and then people are saying like, oh, this is misogynistic. You're just insulting her because you hate women or something. And it's like, no, I mean, have you ever seen NBA fans talk about Mark Jackson or Van Gundy or whatever? We'll criticize the shit out of the national announcers all the time. So we're in this, it's like, I'm sorry, can white women do no wrong? It's ridiculous. I mean, you want equality? Hey, I'm a believer in most feminist causes, you know. I have two daughters. Not that that's the only reason I would, but it's like, no, if you want things to be equal, then she needs to take some shit when she goes on a 10-minute rant about a topic, almost ignoring the game in front of her. We would hammer Mark Jackson for that just the same. Oh yeah. So it's the opposite of being misogynistic. We're treating her just like you would treat a male announcer. Like, get on topic. Jesus. So that stuff bothers me so much when it's like, oh, it's like you, if a woman's doing a job in a traditional male position, you know, announcers, like, excuse that way, traditionally, it's not misogynistic. You're actually, you know, the idea that you can't criticize her is misogynistic. You got to
criticize equally, exactly.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, and I thought everyone's overreacting, and I pulled up the feed and was like, oh, jeez. Get off the soapbox.
10 minutes is a lot. 10 minutes of game time is a lot.
It like went to commercial break, came back. She's right back on it. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And you know,
I really like Doris Burke, by the way. Yeah. She's actually, I like her way more than Mark Jackson.
Oh, 100%. Take her every time. Yeah.
But that kind of bothered me. It's like, no, you should be able to insult the female announcer just like you do men. And that's keeping it real right there.
Right. Exactly. I mean, she's great. I think, like you said, like, she's very astute and makes good observations. Former player, you know what I mean? All that stuff. But yeah, I could see. I've heard her go on some rants before, so I haven't actually heard this one, but I can hear it in my head right now, and sounds like a lot. Sounds like too much.
Well, and the problem was she was outright ignoring the great game going on in front of her.
Right.
But
yeah, and that's what you're there to cover for the most part. So,
yeah. Anyway,
cool. I'm not sure.
Okay, so moving on. After that, the Warriors played Sacramento last night.
Yeah,
and they allowed 71 points in the first half, and had an 18-point lead.
Yeah,
18-point lead, 89-71.
Ridiculous offense, but no defense either way. It was just kind of a matador, you know.
Right.
Come to the rim, have whatever you want.
Yeah, they scored 50 points in the second quarter.
Crazy.
But I will say I'm a little concerned. It's early, and also Draymond and Clay have limited minutes right now. They're easing back in the season, sports science, all that. Obviously, the offense is clicking, so that's good. Yeah. But at some point, I would like to see the defense come back because it hasn't been there. That was 2 games in a row where they allowed 70 points in the first half.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not ideal. Not optimal.
No. Yeah, I think, I mean, a lot of it's second unit minutes from what I've been seeing.
The second unit is a problem so far. Jordan Poole's been struggling.
It's getting torched on defense, yeah.
Yeah, because you actually look, all the starters had like really high plus minuses, and the bench unit is bad. Poole's unit's been bad. And I think he's just feeling his way out with it. I'm sure it'll get better. You know, it's the first week of the season, so you don't want to overreact.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if you've heard this. I've seen this everywhere online, and other stuff I listen to, and people talking about the two timelines, right? So they're trying to
the
win
old and
now.
young.
Right. They're trying to win now. They're trying to win a title this year, but they're also trying to bring the new generation up and kind of teach them on the fly as well. And it's just really, really hard to do. Nobody.
There's gonna be growing pains.
Right. And when it comes down to it, playoff time, right? It's going to be who's producing and who's right, who's defending, who gives us the best chance to win. So, I mean, this is a regular season mentality.
Kuminga is not getting many minutes. Moses Moody's getting minutes, but Kuminga's not.
Right. I was a little shocked by that too. I'm wondering if it's like a defensive problem. Like basically, Steve telling them, whoever doesn't play defense isn't going to play much. But Wiseman's seemed like he's
they
playing
let
a lot
up
of
70
minutes.
points in back-to-back games, so nobody's playing defense.
Right. And I last night watching some of the game, Wiseman's very frustrated. I could tell, but I mean they're just
Kuminga got
anywhere
7. Kuminga got 7 minutes last night.
That's pretty shocking. Yeah.
DiVincenzo had 10.
He got
Moody
hurt
had
as
18.
well, I think.
Wiseman, he did. Wiseman had 19. Wiseman looks good, by the way. I'm liking
offensively,
Wiseman.
yeah. Offensively, yes, yeah. But
no, I mean he's defensively as well. He's
you think
he's been very efficient on offense. He in opening night he blocked LeBron twice. Like he's
yeah. I'm talking about last night. From what I saw last night, he was. I mean,
last night was not a game for defense for anybody.
Right. Yeah, I just want him. I just think he's such a force. Just his, and I think that they mentioned on the broadcast that Draymond was kind of trying to get in his ear a little bit about using his natural athletic posture defensively better, right? Instead of trying to like lean over and trying to like contest things, just standing up and being a vertical threat in the lane, basically.
And you're tall, you don't have to jump.
Taking up space, right?
Just do this,
right. And I think I think he's trying to guard like a perimeter player almost, and it's like, dude, just be a tree trunk in the lane.
Just be a big man. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You take up space. Yeah.
Watch Kevon Looney.
Mentioning
Kevon
Draymond,
Looney do that stuff.
Mentioning Draymond, who we went pretty hard on in our last episode. He's been actually playing great these last two games. Mm-hmm. High energy, really good defense. He's actually like the one guy who has been playing defense, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
he's actually looked really great the last two games, and I feel bad. We went hard on Draymond, and I love Draymond.
Listen,
I know he deserved it, but I just feel bad a little bit because, like, I just want him to pull it together and he's been hustling. He looked great.
Yeah.
So he is putting his head down now and doing the right thing. So let's hope we see more of that.
We've seen it before.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't like going hard on him either, and I feel like when he's playing great, we definitely always call it out, and when he's the reason they win, like,
yeah.
That's why he is who he is, why he's won Defensive Player of the Year, why he has 4 titles. Like, we give him all that praise, but when he does stupid stuff, I mean, he needs to get called out for it, and that can't just be swept under the rug. So I think you gotta do both. But
right.
I mean, he's obviously, I think he's the reason they would win a title this year if they did. Defense, a part of the reason. Like, I think if they lost him this year, if they traded him or whatever, they're not winning a title this year, in my opinion. So
yeah, agreed.
That's a lot.
So moving on a little bit, the Russell Westbrook experience in LA keeps getting worse and worse. Oh my God, it's getting bad.
0-3.
0-3.
They got beat by that powerhouse Portland, right?
But they were in a close game at the end.
Yeah.
With the Clippers. Westbrook comes down. It's a really close game. Comes down with 18 seconds on the shot clock. He comes up. They're sagging off him because they're like, if you want to shoot from out here, we're cool with that.
Please,
go for it. And he just dribbles up, 18 seconds shot clock, chucks a three, it bricks, of course. The guy is just so unaware. The lack of self-awareness of his actual game has always been, I mean, you and I have gone endlessly about we are not Westbrook fans because he's so inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
How much better of a career would he have if he went full Ben Simmons style and never shot a three-pointer? Because he can't shoot them, but he shoots them at a high volume.
Yeah.
There's a breakdown. He is the worst high-volume three-point shooter in NBA history.
I believe that.
So the other night, late in the game, comes down. He's already 0 for 5 from behind the arc. Comes down, 18 seconds shot clock, close game.
Brick.
They sag off. He goes, and he just chucks it. He shoots another three and misses it. He went 0 for 11 on the night overall on top of that. So it's like you're having a shitty night. Oh, let's just chuck it up here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know there's LeBron and AD on the floor, but I should definitely just shoot this.
I think I saw
he's the most frustrating player in NBA history because he does have sheer talent.
Right.
I mean, not a fan of the MVP season, which we discussed.
Yeah.
But, and you could see back before KD came to the Warriors, he was over there, and I was a big KD fan. And then you see games where you're like, towards the end, coming down, you're like, give it to KD. He's really good. And then Westbrook would just shoot a three. And it's like, you cannot shoot threes.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you're a sub 30% three-point shooter. Stop shooting threes. And he can't. And I know it sounds crazy, but he may not be in the league next year. And only because of his ego in terms of what kind of salary would he be willing to take? Because he's done. His contract's up.
Yeah.
His ego would probably not allow him to take
a minimum deal.
Salary that he deserves.
Right.
Not even minimum deal. Like
mid-level.
And also you're bringing him in and like he clearly has shown he will not evolve. Like, stop shooting three-pointers. You suck at it. You suck at it.
And if your team that has
by the way, I can shoot three-pointers about as well as Russ. I can.
Me as well,
I can.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Way out of practice.
Unlike him, I'm not an NBA team and I'm not shooting them.
Right.
Just stop. But he can't do it. He cannot do it.
No, he can't.
It's like there's a reason they're sagging off and giving you that shot because they know you suck.
Right. Well, and he probably thinks that, they're packing the paint on me. Well, I'm gonna make him pay. That it's that mentality. You like players to have that mentality of, I missed 5 in a row. I'm gonna hit the 6th one. We've definitely seen that with our shooters. But
I like that mentality when you are Steph Curry or Klay Thompson,
exactly.
Or Ray Allen or Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
I don't like it from a guy who actually sucks at shooting threes.
Yeah, it's just sad. But I think the problem with the Lakers is it goes beyond Westbrook.
They don't have shooting at all.
They don't have any shooting, right? So, I mean, it's glaring when Russ is, trying to be one of those guys who's taking threes.
What do you think of that take?
Anybody can do it.
What do you think of that take that Russ is not in the league next year? Over the top, or you think that's a chance?
I can't see no one picking him up. That would be hard.
Is he go back to the Washington Wizards?
I mean, there's always a team that's looking for someone to be someone that fans are going to want to, come out and watch. So
say you're on like a middling team, you're bringing someone in. What do you pay Russ? 10? 10?
I mean, I don't know if you would take it.
That's my point.
Like you said, yeah.
12,
I don't know.
15?
I just can't see a guy of his talent not being in the league somewhere is what I'm saying.
No, I know.
I mean, I completely get it. And the thing is, if you have a team who's young, right? If you have a Orlando or a San Antonio Spurs or something like that, do you want Russ being around like your young guys?
Let's bring Russ in to teach him bad habits.
Right. I completely understand what you're saying. I just in my mind, I'm just like,
hey, Banchero, this is what irrational confidence looks like.
Right. And you're taking away shots from them, right? Developing. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I just can't see Russ not being in the league somewhere. But, who knows?
Do you know where he should go? To the league-leading 3-0 Utah Jazz.
Oh, that juggernaut Utah Jazz?
The poor Jazz, they can't even tank properly. Like,
Dude.
they trade away all their players, and then they're just winning games. Like, every
Right.
game matters right now.
Them and Portland, both of them. I'm just like
all these
how?
games early on, later on, that's going to matter. Like, oh, you missed out on the Wembanyama sweepstakes because you won some games early on the season.
Oh yeah. Popovich will be there to clean up.
You know? Oh, I had a thought about Popovich, by the way. And so here, I'm going to shift this. Okay. I'll bring it full circle. Okay. So the Jazz are 3-0. 0-3 are the Philadelphia 76ers.
Rough.
And I was thinking, and 76ers fans hate Doc Rivers. They think he sucks. And they're not wrong. I think Doc Rivers is
I like this take. I like it, Jay.
He's a floor raiser.
Yeah.
But he brings the ceiling down as well. So he's a good coach, but he's not good enough. I know he got a ring, but let's thank KG for that one.
I was going to say, I think he's one of the more overrated coaches in recent history. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's had multiple stacked teams.
Go on to the Philly, to the 76ers sub on Reddit.
Yeah.
And they're like, I hope we keep losing early on so that Rivers gets fired and we get a real coach.
I'm just saying. And how many times has he been up in a series and then lost it? You know what I mean? I know that happened to the Warriors once, but that's like a Doc Rivers specialty.
He's blown how many 3-1 leads?
3-1 leads, exactly. And
like 4
but he's
or 5?
Like he's like a media darling.
He's blown more than
I don't understand
anybody.
it. Right.
He's probably a nice guy. That probably plays into it. He seems like a nice guy.
Overrated.
Yeah. Like he actually seems like somebody fun to have a beer with or something. So I get that. But so that's where I'm going full circle. Can you imagine Gregg Popovich taking over the 76ers team with the roster?
I mean, that's
how much better
coach.
could that team be with Gregg Popovich with those players?
Right. Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see a coach trade. You know, Popovich. I mean, he's in the 70s.
Yeah, he's done.
He's almost done. That Spurs team is whatever. They're young and there's nothing going on there.
Right.
Let's get Popovich to the 76ers.
I like it. We need to start doing these.
How great would
coach
that be?
Trades? Oh,
would that be
awesome.
Great?
Yeah.
That's like
Poor Doc Rivers has to coach the Spurs.
Well, that's like that. Hey, it happened in the NFL with like Belichick and the Jets.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Right.
We had the coach trade before.
Oh yeah.
Let's get this in the NBA. Let's get Popovich to Philly. And Philly fans are hearing this. They're like, "Oh hell yeah,
we'll do it." Yeah, we don't care how many years he gives us. Yeah. Absolutely.
So like, if you're a 76ers fan, you're like, "I'll give you a first round draft pick for Popovich." Right. Would you not? You're like, we have a good roster. I think Popovich could work wonders with that squad. He's like, no, we're not doing this ISO all the time stuff anymore. We're going to put a motion offense in.
Yeah.
They have the pieces for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a total waste of potential.
Yeah. Well, I think problem with Philly, too, is Embiid's had a really bad start to the year. Like really.
He had that horrible second half the second game they played.
Really
he went
bad.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And he didn't talk to the media afterwards.
Yeah. And Harden's actually been playing well, which it was kind of like the reverse, right? When they first got Harden, it was like they were wondering, is Harden going to be that guy who's, the Houston James Harden? Right. But, I mean, if Embiid's not playing great, like if they don't have that two-headed monster, they're not going to play well.
I'm going with this. I'm going to hashtag pop to Philly. I like to see it. I like to see
P2P. I like it. Let's get it done.
Let's get some 76ers fans listening to this. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, well, let's make this happen.
Right.
Yeah.
They have
a couple years left. Let's make it happen.
Isn't a former Bay Area sports radio person, Kate Scott, isn't she doing the Philly broadcast now? I'm pretty sure she does. I'm pretty sure that's the play-by-play for Philly. So, yeah.
Okay.
Right. I've seen her tweet a couple.
We're gonna have to hit her up on Twitter and let's get this thing going because it's just a waste. Like I like Embiid, not a Harden fan, but I appreciate his game, and also him doing well in Philly would rub it in the face of the Brooklyn Nets, so that would be fun too. So there's that aspect.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna make this happen. Don't let Pop wilt away in the Spurs at this point, so why not?
That's funny.
Let's see. Anything else from the NBA opening week so far?
No, I think there's been some competitive games. I think you are seeing like there's just a lot of good teams in both conferences, right? And like seeing them get to match up with each other has been pretty interesting already. And there's only more to come. So it's going to be really interesting to see where the standings all line up.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, the Yankees got swept last night.
Those brooms out.
I believe they had, let me check my notes, 537 strikeouts in the series. Is that right? 537
might
strikeouts?
more than that.
Yeah. Which I love. You know, I'm a Yankees hater. But it also, the way that series played out, and I watched some of it, but not that much. It really speaks to what is wrong with baseball right now and why viewership is down. It's strikeouts. It's a league of home runs, which sound exciting, and they are, but like, okay, home runs, strikeouts, and walks.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are, I mean, home runs aren't boring, but they're kind of boring when that's all that's happening. Like, give me the guy on first base, and there's a double in the gap, and he's going to try and take it around and score on that play.
Steals or whatever else.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Right.
Ball and play. That home runs are exciting, but they're kind of boring in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, it's like the on-field in-play action, the strategy. I think Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner ever. He's taken strategy out of the sport. Like, no more like designated hitter in the National League. That was a big deal of strategy. That's why I liked the National League Baseball more than the American League. It was, are we going to let this pitcher hit because we want to keep him in there? Are we going to, all that
make
stuff.
Make that decision, right?
Yeah, and there was so much strategy with it, and that's why I always loved National League Baseball. It's gone. The game is dumbed down, and it's become a pitching simulator. It's like swinging for the fences. No one can adjust. Everyone's just looking for a pitch, and then even with 2 strikes, like Tony Gwynn used to choke up on the bat, 2 strikes, and he'd knock a base hit. There's none of that. They're like, still looking for the pitch. Home runs, strikeouts. It's just boring. It's really sad what's happened to baseball. I know they're going to change some rules next year. Like, the shift is going to change where you have to have 2 infielders on each side of the second base.
Oh, really?
You can't go all the way over. Yeah, and you can't go out past the dirt. You can't go out onto the outfield. You have to be on the dirt or inside of it. And I actually think that's good. Hitters need to learn to hit again, not just swing for the fences.
Yeah.
What I always appreciated about baseball were those little things, those little plays, the strategy, that kind of stuff. That's what made it fun. Watching a guy just swing for the fences or strike out is so boring.
Yeah.
And the Yankees really epitomized that in this series, just striking out so much. It was just then their coach, Aaron Boone's like, well, the roof was open in Houston. We had the roof open, and it really robbed, Aaron Judge would hit a home run. It's like, it's baseball. Sometimes the roof is open. It's not an indoor sport.
Right.
Shut up. Like, that's some weak loser mentality to even speak on that. Like, anyway, I was always such a huge baseball fan, and maybe it's easier now because, our Giants, won 3 World Series. But also, it's shortly after that is when the transition started happening. Their last one was in 2014. And then the shifts really started to happen. Things have changed a ton in the last 10 years. Yeah. 8 years even. It's just not as fun to watch.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen off. I've definitely fallen off a lot. I mean, like you said, it does help that the Giants aren't in it. But
we're doing a sports podcast.
Right.
We're doing a sports podcast, and it's MLB postseason, and we barely talked about it.
Right.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, anything that they take to make it even more or less watchable is not a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And you start alienating some of the fans you do have, and it's not great.
Well, the current product is certainly not going to attract the youth.
No.
Like my son, he likes basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball's fun to watch. He likes football,
Mm-hmm.
baseball. I mean, we've gone to games and he appreciates it a little bit, but it's definitely lower down for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Hell, he'll watch some golf with me.
Ooh. Hey, I want to hear more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good transition. This past weekend, Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, because you were telling me something about what is it? Live golf.
Live golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it, like? I don't understand fully like what that is. It's like a special tournament within golf.
So this has been a big deal over the last several months. The Saudi royal family directly, not just it's through them 100%, created their own golf league, Live Golf. And they're throwing crazy money around trying to poach players from the PGA.
So
and this is also
league. It's a separate league.
It's a separate league.
Okay. And
their front man is Greg Norman, Hall of Fame golfer, also known as a world-class asshole. He is. Like, people hate him.
Wow.
Well before this.
Okay.
And, it kind of broke. The big thing was Phil Mickelson. They brought Phil Mickelson in. And the big when things really got heated just right off the bat was Alan Shipnuck, who is a golf writer. He wrote for Sports Illustrated for many years. He was writing a book about Mickelson, unauthorized autobiography on him. It's actually a great read, fantastic read. You don't even have to be a golf fan to appreciate the book. It just has crazy stories. Mickelson is a total character. He's like the nicest guy ever, but also an asshole. Like, just very. He's actually a great portrait. It's a great portrait of how people can be complicated. Like nicest guy ever, but worst guy ever, but not worst guy ever, but just, kind of a dick. And so at one point later, before the book's about to go out, Mickelson finally, who had turned down all of his interview requests. I mean, they had a relationship over the years, him writing about golf all those years.
Right.
Mickelson calls him and he kind of goes on a little bit of a rant. And I feel like he was trying to, I don't know, square things up or make it clear where he stood. But he basically is like, yeah, the Saudis are scary motherfuckers.
Wow.
Talking about like cutting off Khashoggi's head. Remember that? The journalist?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're using them to leverage the PGA because the PGA has been holding back on the players.
Wow.
And we could be doing a lot better. And I agree, that's his motivation. And he's not wrong about the PGA. But, getting into bed with the Saudis to do it is not a good look. And I think he was trying to. He has now since denied that he, talked to Shipnuck. Or he was making it sound like it was off the record. And it's like, come on, dude.
Is it out there, famous. Though? Is it, possible to see that interview? Oh, okay, so he's just...
Well, I mean, it's written. There's no...
Oh, okay,
yeah. And now he's gaslighting us, acting like he'd never even said it. And it's like, come on. Yes, you did. He already apologized for saying it, and now he's saying he didn't say it. And anyway, so they recruited some big names from the PGA Tour. Dustin Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Most of the guys who went are kind of has-beens or they've had injury history. So, they've won major championships in the past, but have fallen off. But there's some legit. Dustin Johnson is one of the best golfers in the world. So he went. He's 37 though.
Yeah.
And he just said it was too much money. He couldn't turn it down. It was like $150 million.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Mickelson got $200 million.
Jeez.
Rumor has it they offered Tiger like 700, 800 million, and he turned it down. Yeah, like crazy money.
Wow.
But they did get like Cam Smith, who won the British Open just a couple months ago, number 2 player in the world. He went, which is a bummer because I really like him. It was kind of sad to see.
Yeah.
But it's become super contentious, and then LIV has sued the PGA for fully blocking them from playing on any of their events. And it's a ridiculous lawsuit because it's the PGA sandbox. Like, if you get a player's card, these are the rules. You cannot play on unsanctioned events without permission.
Right.
They did not give you permission. Tough shit.
Yeah.
Go play in your separate little tour, and that's fine.
Right.
But like, don't be expecting to, it gets more complicated. There's a whole separate board that provides official world golf ranking points.
Okay.
And it's very contentious. The whole thing's ugly, but anyway, but the the big proponents of the old guard of the PGA Tour have been Tiger and Rory McIlroy. Big time. Just like, because it's not about, it's about money. They make good money. It's also about tradition. And the Saudis are coming in, they're just fucking it all up.
Yeah, they're just throwing money around. Like, okay.
They're throwing money around. They're trying to sports wash. So, some of the guys have gone and they've just said, like Dustin Johnson, he's like, it's just too much money for my family. I can't say no.
Right.
And you're like, okay, that's cool. But some of them are doing the full sports washing thing. And this is where I take issue. Like, if you want to go play in their league and you're like, it's just too much money for me to turn down, fine. Some of them are talking about like, oh, well, the Saudis have changed and blah, 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 blah. And this is funny. This is in the last 6 months, right? Check the news. They're executing women over there for trying to exercise rights and stuff. It's like, they haven't changed at all. What are you talking about?
They're just
and
trying
that's
to
where I draw the
taking
line.
that money.
Yeah, and that's where I draw the line. If the guys take the money and I couldn't turn it down. I'd be like, cool, cool. But spare us the propaganda.
Right.
I don't want to hear the Saudi propaganda, you piece of shit.
Take your blood money.
You.
Take your blood money and run.
You. Yeah. And that's kind of where Rory has been. And Rory's been the huge proponent of the tour. And it was kind of fun because the FedEx Cup is the big end of year thing for the PGA Tour. Winner gets 20 million is legit. And Rory wins it. And he's just like, kind of flexing like, yeah, I made my money. I don't need to get paid by the Saudis, and he's been talking crazy shit back and forth with Greg Norman.
Really?
Yeah. Greg Norman was a great golfer. He was number one in the world prior to the early to mid 90s. Tiger came, it was him and Nick Faldo.
Right. I remember that.
Famous 96 meltdown at Augusta. Norman blows a 6-shot lead on the back nine at the Masters to Faldo. But Tiger comes on the scene and knocks him off his perch and just takes over from there.
Right.
So now Rory seems extra motivated with all this going on. So he goes out and wins the FedEx Cup, rakes in that money, and he's just playing great golf. And he took a break after that. And then just this last weekend, he comes out, first tournament of the year for him, and just wins it. Nice. And now he's number one in the world again.
Wow.
He's back there.
Nice.
And now he's like, Greg Norman was number one in the world for 331 weeks. I intend to be there for at least 332. And I was like shit. Yeah. And it's like we have some of the best smack talk in sports right now is in golf.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
I like that. I want more of that. It is
nasty.
Yeah.
I want more of it.
Right.
And I dig that Rory, I think Rory's feeding off it. He's like, fuck all you. Like, I love it. I love it. So,
nice.
I always like Rory, but now,
man.
Yeah, I always like Rory, but now I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, you're pulling for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, golf can be boring, but it can be fun. And we just had the event out here a couple weeks ago in Napa.
Oh, okay.
And I went out to that event, and it's a fun time. Yeah. Actually, going to those events is pretty fun. But
I like watching our guy Steph when he plays in some little tournaments and things. Like, dude, he could be.
Yeah, he always plays. He always plays in Tahoe at the CenturyLink over in Edgewood, right there. So that's a good time. I'll probably pop up to that this year. Last year, my friend and I played the course the day after the tournament.
Oh wow!
So they had the grandstands up.
Nice.
Same pins, and you could play it in that setting, and that was really fun.
Do you think he could play competitively? Like,
not really. No,
okay. He's not quite on that level. I know he's
really
great.
good.
I know he's great. Yeah.
He's better than 99% of golfers, but I don't think people realize
how good that top echelon is.
To be on the PGA Tour is the most difficult of all the major sports to be on.
Okay.
There's 125 player cards. There's exemptions and whatever, but like, I mean, the next hardest is the NBA. There's
Right.
only 14, 15 roster spots a team, right?
Right.
So yeah, the NBA and the PGA are the most difficult achievements in terms of just even being into the show.
Right.
You know, the NFL has 55 roster spots per team, right?
Yeah.
There's more people.
Right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, Steph has spoken on this. He's like, nah, man, like those guys are so much better on a level that people don't appreciate. Which I can appreciate. I've been a scratch golfer. I played competitively in high school. I've been in tournaments. And like being a scratch golfer, that you aren't shit. Like you're not even scratch golfers are a dime a dozen.
Wow.
To be on the level of a PGA pro, you have to be good enough to truly appreciate how good they are.
Mm.
So like I've been good enough to at least appreciate that I can't even sniff them.
Right.
Like,
Right.
They're that good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the level they play at, the average person does not realize how truly, truly good they are.
Even the people who aren't winning tournaments are still at that level, right? Where you're like,
the low level guys who struggle to make cuts on the PGA, they are so good.
Right.
They are so good.
Yeah.
And people don't even realize, it's just not relatable.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I mean, I guess you could say that, like again, about the NBA too. Like that scrub on the bench.
Yeah.
That scrub on the bench.
He'll give you
pick up game in New York City. He'll smoke the shit.
I've seen that. You've seen some videos where somebody's like, "Oh, you suck," and then they go up, try and play one of these guys on the court and just dominate it.
There's a famous clip. I think is it Scalabrine or I forget.
Yeah, Scalabrine.
He goes, "I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me."
He's probably right though.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So even the lowest level guy in the NBA will go out and give you buckets.
Yeah, and that's a great line. This is true.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay. Well, I'm thank you for the just the info on golf, like you said, because I just felt tangentially,
it's very dramatic.
Yeah. Especially like now that I'm hearing there's a little contentiousness going on, like I'm into that. You know what I mean? I will.
Well, and the timing's phenomenal because you know how Netflix did the whole thing with F1 racing.
Yep.
What's it called? It's not the Need for Speed. Is it the Need for Speed? What's it called?
I don't know. I can't remember what the name.
But the whole behind the scenes thing, the F1.
Right.
So just this last year, they started doing one for golf right before all this happened.
Wow.
So there's all this footage behind the scenes of the LIV PGA spat going on.
Oh, that's great.
I guarantee you Netflix was very happy about their timing because it's gonna be really good.
So that's not out yet, though, right? They're just
no. I don't know when it comes out, but they have to be so thrilled, like of all time.
It's like Hard Knocks.
Start this.
Hard Knocks of golf, right?
They're getting the most dramatic like golf behind the scenes season that's ever existed. Right when they start the show, so it'll be cool to see what happens. I know Justin Thomas is going to be featured in there a lot. So some big name players.
Cool.
And we'll see. I have to look into that and see when it comes out. But they couldn't have timed it better.
Maybe we'll do an update when it comes out after we watch some of it and say, give a review on it. Something. Cool.
All right. Anything else?
I think we covered a lot. I mean, obviously we're going to continue to watch, all the sports that are on, NBA. I think week by week, you're going to start to see, maybe some of these teams who we said aren't great that have good records to begin the year. It might kind of start to normalize a little bit. I would be shocked if Portland and Utah are, top 8 teams in a month, but we'll see, man.
Well, you know what that saying is, the NBA season doesn't start till Christmas.
Right. Exactly. So, but no, man, I'm looking forward to all of it. So.